Hey KU fans, welcome back to KU Sports Extra, the post-coaching search edition. It was a week and a fast and furious week, and not nearly as long as these things usually last, but we had Clint Bowen as the interim coach for KU. You snap your fingers. That was horrible. Here. Dang it. There we go. You snap your fingers or do that. And then you've got a brand new head coach, and the whole thing starts over again. David Beaty in, Clint Bowen still on the staff.
And condolences to the search committee.
Condolences to them, in fact. Yeah, Tom Keegan, Matt Tait. We're going to talk almost all David Beaty during this episode just because these things don't happen every day. Every 2 years they do happen around here, but they don't happen every day. So the good news, let's go good and bad news for both of us here in this one, and we'll spread it out a little bit. But good news from you, with David Beaty being hired as KU's 38th head football coach. What do you got?
Now they can assemble a staff.
Yeah.
David Beaty can assemble his staff. They've had an interim in there for 9 weeks. I'm glad that they canceled that second week of a somewhat phony search. I think he knew he wanted David Beaty all along, and
Sure.
There were really no substantive questions asked it would be my guess, at the first round of phone interviews, because I'm told Tim Beck was told that we'll bring you back in person next week. And yeah, I think at some point Zanger probably just said, enough with the charade. We need to get this staff assembled and give him a fair shot of recruiting somebody, because there's only a week left in being able to see these guys in person, and then there's a month off,
Dead
I
period.
believe.
Yeah. So yeah, and I mean you get,
hence the condolences.
you get a guy who's known as a recruiter, get him in. Let's recruit,
And get him meeting the high school coaches in Texas. Very impressive that the first thing Beaty wanted to do when his media obligations were out of the way was just start visiting Kansas high school coaches. Because there's some damage done here. High school coaches are smart guys, and he knows that. He was one. And there was damage done here because Turner Gill's staff did not respect the talent in Kansas, and neither did Charlie Weiss's.
Sure.
Until Clint Bowen got here, and Buddy Wyatt respects the talent, but they would get guys ready to sign them, just need the head coach to rubber stamp them, and boom, he wouldn't rubber stamp them. They can't play for me.
Yeah, and you look around and you see Kansas kids playing at all kinds of programs and playing important roles and good talent.
Including Kansas State.
Yeah,
especially.
there you go, especially them. And the other thing is this coming class has a ton of talent in it in Kansas. So I think that is a very good place to start, and it seems like a very genuine thing. This is a guy, the good news for me is this is a guy who isn't interested in that quick fix. He's not going to go try to, pull something out of a hat or keep that scarf thing coming where they just keep coming. There's no magic tricks here.
So many uses for those.
He's gonna build.
Can hide stains on your shirt.
Sure. Yeah, a lot of things. I mean, there are different colors, all that. Yeah.
Right.
So, but I mean, he's gonna build something that can last, something of substance, something that's built on a foundation that's pretty solid. I think that's the best news of David Beaty. Perhaps a close second, though, is the $800,000 base salary, and obviously there are incentives included there that could get him up to $1.5 million, maybe even more. But $800,000 base salary, that's great. I mean, over 5 years, that's what, $4 million?
Yeah, and he made it clear to us, he's going to let his coaches coach.
Right.
Doesn't claim to be a guru.
Right.
And that's good because we saw what the guru did.
Sure. Yeah, we sure did.
Yeah.
He seems to be a regular guy who will talk football, inspire guys, get fired up, and try to go win games.
He's a run-through-the-wall for him guy, not a guru.
Don't you think you could see him running through a wall, too?
No, I think he's smarter than that.
Okay.
So, because you can't run through a wall unless it's like a paper wall or,
right.
A Hollywood wall.
One of those things they hold up in high schools where the team takes the field through the banner. Kind of
I could
wall.
see him running through a banner, but I think he would think that that's more the player's role.
Okay, yeah, that's probably good. Maybe there's a coach's banner off to the side?
No, but he'll get fast guys to run through the banner. That's the key. He is definitely going to emphasize speed, which you have to do in the Big 12. And then he's also going to emphasize, he made clear to us, which is good news, this is going to be a high school recruit and develop program.
Right.
Fill in the blanks with JUCOs.
By need.
by need.
Yeah, yeah. If you don't have this, you got to go find it, go get it. If not, you build high school kids, you develop them, and that was really interesting too about his coaching staff, guys that he's planning to bring in. Not just good recruiters and not just guys that can develop kids.
Well, he boils things
but
down.
Guys that can do both.
You know, it's hard to get both.
Right.
And he boils things down to very simple ways of looking at it, which is good for a direct communicator with his players.
Yeah.
You know, you got guys like in the newspaper business. You got guys who can copy edit, guys who can design. It's rare to find guys who can do both, and you have those guys. So it's hard to find a guy who can both develop and recruit, and he sounds very confident that he's getting guys who can do both.
Yeah, what was your favorite moment of his introductory press conference, or maybe even the last few days? Obviously, he's been the name in the news around here, at least the positive news anyway.
I thought it was neat to see his family, a young family. That it reminded me a lot of Clint Bowen's young family in a lot of ways. The Bowens have two young boys who are whippersnappers. I think the grandma used some word, they're hellions or something like that.
Probably.
Guys climbing on roofs and climbing up trees, those type of kids.
Sure.
And then you've got the sweet girls in their pretty dresses, the young girls there with the mom. And they're both, when you see them out in public, you generally see them with their family, those type of people.
Right.
They have so little free time. You see Clint Bowen golfing in the summer a little bit with his wife and two kids, and my guess is I'm probably a better golfer than all four of them.
Yeah, well, let's get into that a little bit. Tell me about, well, never mind, we won't do that. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it was cool to see this guy was really comfortable. I mean, he said some things that I took as very genuine. I didn't think he was up there trying to, quote, win the press conference. When he said Kansas feels like home, I think he meant that. I don't think that was just a line that he was trying to deliver.
I think it feels like his professional home.
Yeah. He's been here 3 times now. He probably should.
And face it, this is a very easy town to live in.
That's also true.
I mean, you can get around. A lot of smart people living in Lawrence. It's a great place to live.
Yeah, they have friends here already. There are familiar faces.
And
he
their kids have
that.
friends. Imagine at that age, those kids, what do they go?
14 and 10 or something.
Yeah,
like
13
that.
and 10 maybe.
Yeah.
That he has been here, gone from here, let's say 3 years.
Yeah.
And they get to see
their friends again. That's pretty cool.
After not seeing them for 3 years.
Yeah, that is pretty
Think about
cool.
how cool that is.
Jump right back in and have fun. Because kids are incredibly resilient. They don't even, I mean, those things, you move and you make a whole new set of friends. I've done it, you've done it, everybody's done it.
And he didn't say this was going to be easy.
No, he didn't say that.
He went a little overboard with some things. Clint Bowen may be the best defensive coordinator in the country.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask, the bad news, maybe that's it then?
Yeah, that it's, a little bit of overpromising, but he didn't overpromise in saying we're going to be Big 12 champs or anything like that.
We're going to beat Missouri. And play Missouri.
Yeah, and remember Turner Gill's first press conference, he said we're going to build a dynasty.
A winning dynasty, in fact.
Yeah, he wanted to make that clear.
Yeah, he didn't want to build a losing dynasty.
Per se,
right.
A losing dynasty.
And things of that
but
nature.
A winning dynasty, how can you do that when you only last 2 years?
It's unfortunate that he did clarify because he kind of did build a losing dynasty.
He started it,
right.
And Charlie took the baton and ran as fast as he could.
So if he just said dynasty, he would have been right. But he said winning, and that didn't happen.
No, it was a dynastic press conference, but it wasn't a dynamic one with Turner Gill.
Right, yeah. Well, I think there are plenty of lost in translation things from the new head coach, David Beaty, from Garland, Texas, with the pronounced accent. There's going to be a lot of fun with that, I'm sure, and it's already enjoyable to listen to. So let's listen to a little for this week's Lost in Translation, the David Beaty edition.
I'll close with just a couple of different comments. The goal is very simple. It's to bring you a program, the state of Texas, the university, everybody involved with the University of Kansas, a program that they can be proud of.
Translation, yes, I'm going to take care of Kansas first. There's a lot of room there. But Texas recruits are never far from my mind, which is why when I meant to say Kansas there, I said Texas.
I'm going to recruit Texas?
I'm going to recruit Texas. I'm going to bring some Texas flavor to my coaching staff, perhaps. But I'm going to reverse things in Kansas. And I'll tell you why. Let me throw some names at you. John Hadel, David James, It said James on the
on the sheet.
On the sheet. David James, Nolan Cromwell, John Riggins.
Johnny Riggins. They call him in Texas. Johnny Riggins.
They don't talk about him in Texas.
No, they don't. You're right.
If he had been a Texas back, but he's from Kansas.
D.C.
Kansas
They
boy.
talk about him in D.C.
And Kerry Meyer.
Kansas.
And Daryl Stuckey.
Kansas.
There you go.
Very cool.
And Oklahoma. Chris
Harris.
From Bixby High.
State champion Bixby High.
Yes.
How about those Spartans, huh?
Sparty.
Big win
It was
for
a
the
Sparty
Spartans.
year.
Chris Harris, an interception on Sunday for the Broncos. Guy's amazing. He's having an incredible year.
Broncos have like 3 starters.
Yeah. Chris Harris. Santa told us that.
Akib Talib. Yeah, it was
And
Santa told us
Steven
that.
Johnson. Daryl Stuckey, though, over the weekend also.
Interception.
He got a fumble recovery for a touchdown.
Yes.
His first NFL touchdown. And it reminded me a lot of that Louisiana Tech game when he chased the guy. You wrote your whole column about Stuckey chasing the guy down from one corner of the field to the other, from the end zone to the end zone, to prevent points, to keep the shutout intact. It was like that. He took the ball and he was just gone. It was cool. So
He's fast.
yeah, you can't ask for enough good things to happen to a guy like Daryl Stuckey. And to get your first NFL touchdown as a primary special teams player, that was awesome. It's good for him.
You know, you think about Kansas high school football coaches.
Okay.
When they get a rare visit from a Kansas head coach,
Sure.
you know, the Kansas head coach just comes in there acting like he's a little superior.
I'm not going to see that anymore.
Not with this guy.
No.
He has tremendous respect for high school football coaches and can sit down and easily swap stories with
Yeah.
them. And both sides will really enjoy it.
Well, he seems really, really, truly interested in building relationships. You hear that all the time. It's cliche in football. Recruiting is a relationship business. Everybody says it, but it is. It's true. And you don't get players, and you don't get help, and you don't get favors. And let's be honest, Kansas needs all that. Players, help, and favors. You don't get those kinds of things without having good relationships, without people liking you, without people seeing you walk in their office or their gym or whatever and them lighting up. Oh, Coach Beatty's
Right.
here. This is going to be cool. You know, you don't see that.
Yeah, and there's nothing snobby about this guy at all. I mean, if he went to visit a high school coach and let's say a high school coach bit into a jelly donut that morning and it exploded and went all over his shirt,
Yeah, he wouldn't say anything.
he's not going to say anything.
Get him a napkin, probably. Here you go, fella.
Yeah,
Something like that, or a scarf. I don't know.
been there, done that.
Yeah. All right, well, let's finish it off. That's David Beaty in a nutshell, at least through our eyes. Let's finish it off, as always, with most obnoxious man in sports. Who do you have, Mr. Keegan?
Drew Butler, the punter for the Arizona Cardinals, the son of the former Chicago Bears place kicker.
Okay. Kevin Butler.
Right, Kevin
Yeah.
Butler. Why was Drew Butler the most obnoxious man in sports this week? Because he's a punter.
Stop
and he
right
got
there.
fined $8,268 for a face mask penalty. If you're a punter, you don't go getting face mask penalties.
No.
You can pretend to try to tackle, maybe run into a guy, but you don't pull at a face mask. No.
Yeah,
That's obnoxious.
It is. It is. And did it save a touchdown or anything? Or
No, it was
It's
just and it cost him $8,268. And he's only a second-year player. He could use that $8,268.
to buy some new shirts if he spilled on himself or something
Perhaps.
like that?
Maybe even a scarf. I don't know. But he could use the money to buy Christmas presents
Right.
for his dad. Maybe his dad still kicks in the backyard. He could have bought him a
Need some
gold-plated
new kicking
tee.
shoes.
Yeah, some kicking shoes.
Who knows? Yeah.
But no, he just frittered that $8,268 away by grabbing a face mask,
That's
probably with
obnoxious.
his right hand.
Yeah, that's obnoxious. Very obnoxious. My obnoxious man in sports is actually a group of men, and it might be a cop-out, but I'm going to go with it.
Jackson 5?
We have to talk about it. No, but I know a guy who was in the Jackson 5. Bobby Nightingale, our own Bobby Nightingale, high school writer here. His father was in the Jackson 5, I heard.
Yeah, and Bobby didn't believe that, but Bobby's brother did.
Bobby's brother did, yeah.
And when Bobby said he wasn't in the Jackson 5, DJ, And DJ said, well, then how come he knows the words?
Yeah, he knows all the words. That's enough for me. Anyway, back to my obnoxious group of men. Let's go with the College Football Playoff Committee. I think they did a good job. I think they picked 4 quality teams. But I don't know how you can take a team that was 3rd last week in your rankings, that goes out and wins 55-3, and then have 3 teams jump them in your next week's rankings. I think that's obnoxious. I think TCU got absolutely snubbed. I think Baylor's the best of the bunch, personally. I would have loved to see Baylor get in. But I think TCU got snubbed because of all those teams, Ohio State, TCU, Baylor. Who else was in there? I mean,
Alabama.
Yeah, right. Of all those teams, the team with the best loss is TCU. And that was to Baylor.
Right, by
so
3 points.
I think that means something, and I think the fact that they jumped TCU, not with just 1, not with just 2, but with 3 different teams, was very obnoxious. I like the debate. I'm not anti-college football playoff or anything like that. I just think that was a real bad deal for TCU.
Well, I think that they got it wrong by putting them 3rd, first of all.
Exactly.
I think Baylor beat them head-to-head. I think Baylor should have been. My 4 that I would have put in there are Ohio State, Oregon, Alabama, and Baylor.
I'm totally.
And even though Florida State was undefeated, this is a new age where you put the 4 best teams in
That's
there.
the stated goal of this thing, is
Right.
to find the 4 best teams, to give them a shot to compete for the national championship. And I think at least one of the best teams is not there.
And I think the thing you should do is, and people are going to be upset about this because the NCAA, blah, 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 you should let Las Vegas odds makers be the committee.
That would be outstanding.
Nobody is better at predicting who's better than who,
Yeah.
and by how much.
I'm seeing jackpot signs flashing right now. I see
Yeah, and
neon.
just-
I love your idea. Of
instead
all
of
your good ideas,
Yeah, that's a
one
great
of the
one.
best.
And instead of having a lottery, state lottery, or in addition to having a state lottery,
There you go.
during this 4-game playoff, you can suspend all state rules that apply to betting and gambling on sports, and just
Have a free-for-all.
Yeah, and have the state take 10% of it, and right off the bat, you're going to raise so much money for the state. States can get out of debt based on the gambling on this thing, and then you double it to 8 teams. That's twice as many games. When you have 8 teams, that's 7 games. 7 games, it would take so much money in for gambling at all 50 states that really, now we're talking about serious economic recovery. And that's my platform for running for governor in the next time that comes up.
Whenever that is.
6 years from now, I believe. There's 6-year terms out of that.
Yeah, that's good. And we just had one. You're right.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's all we've got. KU Sports Extra, featuring Tom Keegan, the politician, solving college football, the budget crisis, and stains on your shirts.
And what I want for Christmas doesn't exist yet, but I want them to get busy. I want a Neil Young Christmas album.
In case you're watching,
I think
Neil,
he's made for
get
that.
on it. And I would start with Santa Claus is Coming to Town or Little Drummer Boy. There we go. Thanks for watching KU Sports Extra. We will talk to you guys next week with another edition, and we'll bring basketball back into the fold. We'll talk to you next time.
Let me tell you now.